Hi everyone, and welcome back. In this video we're going to be showing you kind of the differences between the way a sprinter does their max speed or acceleration type workouts versus the way a distance runner should be doing that same kind of workout. So this is the energy continuum. It's from the USATF Coaches Education Curriculum. It is based on percentage of VO2 max pace, which is right here in the middle. VO2 max 2-mile pace is set here at 100%, and these numbers up at the top are the percentages that you were running of that 2-mile pace, which is why it goes out to higher than 100%. And we're going to be all the way out here as fast as a human can possibly go, 140% of that 2-mile pace. This is what you would be able to hold for the first 6 to 7 seconds of any race or workout, any rep that you're doing, regardless of if it's all the way out here at aerobic threshold or easy workouts, tempo pace, 2-mile, one of these races, or just a start, something like that. So this is the anaerobic alactic system, meaning without acid. It's 140%, as I mentioned, the fastest a human can go. These other workouts that you do that are sometimes kind of mischaracterized as speed workouts that are actually slower, the ones that produce acid, that nasty feeling you feel in your legs, the jelly leg feeling, those are speed endurance, special endurance 1, special endurance 2, intensive tempo, and even VO2 max. There's a significant accumulation of acid coming from it. We're not going to be dealing with that today. We don't want to develop acid, and there's ways that we're going to get around developing acid when we're doing this, because this is actually a 24-hour recovery. What you see here, the sprinters and the distance kids come back the next day and do a very, very hard workout. The next day for the sprinters, they come back and they are doing, for them, which is a hard workout, an extensive tempo. You see those 200s or 400s that they call extensive tempo. It's what we would call VO2 max in the distance world. And the distance kids, we actually did a fun little heptathlon at our school, a bunch of different races, which ended in a 600 meter. The video, if you didn't see it, it's in the description down below. Much higher intensity to this. You would think that this is more high intensity, but because there's no acid being produced, and again, we'll mention how to do that safely later, you can come back and do anything the next day, provided you've done it before. If this is the first time you do it, you're probably going to walk them through it a little bit. So that's what we're dealing with here in terms of where we are on the pace continuum, as fast as a human can possibly go, that anaerobic alactic system. So from the coaching education curriculum from IAAF, this is a great study that was done by Matter and Hartman. It just came out just last year, 2019. Groundbreaking research. You've seen these numbers have kind of fluctuated throughout the years as the research gets better, and this one was kind of groundbreaking in that it kind of captured moments in time in these races to see how much energy was being produced by the ATP or the alactic or the creatine phosphate. It's all the same thing. Creatine phosphate is what fuels the ATP reproduction in the alactic system. It's the same thing. The anaerobic lactic system is what it's called here, or producing lactic. I call it the glycolytic system because it's using glycolysis or breaking down glycogen anaerobically. And the aerobic system. And it was just really groundbreaking the way it was done. It wasn't done at the end of a race and just kind of measuring lactate or looking at calories burned like some older studies. This is the most recent research we can see here. So obviously the shorter the race, the bigger reliance is going to come from the first 6 to 7 seconds from this energy system. Makes perfect sense. A 100-meter runner is going to be using more energy from this system than a marathoner is going to use almost nothing from this system. They're going to use some. It's just sort of a round down zero. But it's not just the first 6 to 7 seconds, because this system recharges on the fly at submaximal pace. It's why you see a kid in the 1600 meter, 3200 meter in high school, 5000, 10K has that kick at the end. It's because it's been recharging on the fly. It's why you don't see a kick at the end of the 400, because it's not long enough for it to recharge. Same thing, the 800 is typically the second lap is slower than the first. This system requires 3 to 4 minutes at minimum to really recharge, and we'll talk about that design in a second. 3 to 4 minutes to get 80% back the creatine phosphate to refuel the system. So, and then you would see almost 98% of it back after 10 minutes. So that first 3 to 4 minutes is critical to get most of it back. So obviously we don't have 3 to 4 minutes in a 400. It's why you don't have a kicking finish. 800 is, for the most part, going to be less than 3 to 4 minutes. So you don't see a finishing kick. But you see it in these other longer races because this system can recharge on the fly. So that's the first thing here. These kids here, what you're going to see in the workout, you're going to see 100, 200 meter runners, our 400, 800 meter kids kind of crossing over. The first part of the video, you're going to see a lot of sled pulls, you're going to see stick drills out to 10, 20, 30 meters, you're going to see starts, and you're going to see out to 60 meters from those starts. So this is a little bit more important from these kids for a percentage of the actual race. These kids will do this 2 times a week, sometimes 3 times a week. Our fantastic sprint coach, Coach Tate, sees this as that kind of critical for their actual development. So you see a lot of this from them. The distance kids, you're going to see me do this with them. I work with this group at our school, Wharton High School in Tampa, Florida. You're going to see it. We'll do this once a week or once every other week, depending on what else we're doing, hill intervals and that kind of thing. But even in the summertime, I do not get too far away from this. We never get too far away from this. This system doesn't cycle. It's about strength gains and some enzyme activity that you want to kind of keep up. So this is something you'd want to kind of mix in. And as I mentioned, it's a 24-hour recovery. So again, getting back to the sprinters here, you're going to see them going from a dead stop to accelerating. Much more important from them because their start is a bigger part of the race and it's more critical to their success. What you will see from the distance kids is everything is a fly-in. It's a much more gentle way to get these kids, which are less used to this type of thing, to that kind of high intensity, fast type of, this is truly your speed workout. That speed endurance, special endurance 1 and 2 that we were talking about previously is kind of mischaracterized as speed. That is not speed. This is speed coming from this energy system right here. This is still relatively fast. It's obviously faster than the aerobic system, but it's not speed. It's a different kind of energy production that is slower than this energy production. This is the fastest way your body recharges the ATP is with creatine phosphate. So these kids are going to go out longer, and you're going to see them rest much longer, 6 to 7 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes, depending on what they're doing. We need high quality here. It's a bigger part of the race, and they're obviously going to be doing, it's going to be that one opening salvo, for lack of a better term for them, the start, because they're not going to get it back later in the race. So they're going to get more rest in between because they're going to be going just from their warm-up to the race, no kick at the end. What you will see me change with the distance kids here is it's 3 to 4 minutes. So what you'll see from them is I see 5 to 10 meter fly-in. I like 10 meter fly-in, just seems to work a little bit nicer. 30 meters as fast as they can go. You'll see a second set of cones that's 20 meters at the end where they decelerate. So if we said this is 6 to 7 seconds for these kids, it's more like 60 meters with these kids where they're not as fast. It's probably going to be more like 50 meters. They're accelerating for 10, holding it for 30, and then decelerating. Nobody should be going even 50 meters at this type of high intensity, so they will not be producing acid. So this system translates to this system or transitions more over to this system after that first 6 to 7 seconds. They're all actually going at the same time. It's a misnomer to think that one turns on and one turns off. It's just that this one gets greatly de-emphasized and this one becomes more emphasized over time, and this one comes with the acid that makes your recovery take longer. You couldn't come back and do this the next day if this system starts becoming used more. So you'll see them go that fly in 30 meters, 20 meter deceleration, and they're going to jog all the way around the track. And you might even hear me say, slow down. We're going to get at least 3 minutes in between. Slow down, slow down, slow down, or keep jogging. 3 minutes, as I mentioned, 80% gets back. If you start going less than 3 minutes, then you start tapping into this system, and that's not what we want. We want to come back the next day with something more high intensity from both of these groups, as I mentioned before. So 3 to 4 minutes, and then they kind of go out. But they're going to need to recharge on the fly. Their start is not as critical, so that's why they're doing the fly-in, and it's more gentle. And this is going to be recharging kind of more throughout their race, so they kind of need to be able to do it on the fly. That's why you can actually get a couple of moves in a race, provided the kid then backs back down and doesn't type into this system and cross over too much. So what you will also see is obviously a distance runner this is a bigger part of the race. So what these kids will do on this day is they'll come back and they'll do, after they've gotten out of their spikes, they will do a 3 to 4 mile cool down. The more advanced kids doing 4. So this ends up being a high volume day for these kids. They do 8 to 10 of them. So up to about 300 meters of this, which is about as far as you would want to go. These kids are doing more like 150 to 200 meters, depending. They do fewer reps. Some of them are longer and that kind of thing. But they would not do the cool down because it's not as important. The 4-8 kids, we do have them do a little bit of a longer cool down. and mix things up here, but these kids definitely get 3 to 4 miles on the back end, but it must be on the back end. Don't try and get this in first. Hey, we're going to go on a super long warm-up today, guys, and then come back and do this. This will not be here. This is why you sometimes will see people striding after your long runs. That is not for the speed development. It will do nothing to speed development because you fatigue them from the long run. Strides are fantastic, but they're for form and mechanics after a long run. Things can break down on a long run. This has to be block 1 after they warm up, and then this can be block 2. Same thing with the 800 meter kids. This is block 1 going into block 2, in the same way that you would not do your speed endurance in block 2 after a long aerobic block. It comes after to try and get the acid out, but also because this will not be here if you do it first. So that's kind of the design behind this. That's why you would do this in that order. Now, the kids in this group are also going to benefit not from this energy system, but also from strength gains. If you're going as fast as you can, every step is going to be 5 times your body weight. That is fantastic strength, specific strength work, not just going and lifting and seeing how much you can lift, but translating to actual athletic performance, which is what we want. You also will see these kids tend to have issues when they strike the ground. Their muscles give more. There's less stiffness or rigidity to their muscles. It's why these kids just look more athletic in their shorter stuff and a lot of the things that they do, because their muscles give more back to them when they hit the ground. There's more stiffness and rigidity there. This is going to help these kids be a little bit closer in that regard with that muscle stiffness and getting more back after you put energy into the track. And that also comes with running economy, getting that energy back. It's also going to help these kids use those bigger muscle groups and synchronize them and fire in a much more uniform and synchronized way, so they're more efficient with their energy. Another thing these kids do, because they do a lot more of it, their big muscle groups fire much more synchronized and much more quickly and in a much better way essentially than these kids, because they do different type of work than these kids. We want them to get a little bit more synchronized so that they can kick in and do all those things we want when they look a little bit more athletic, and that comes with practice. Your body will not just do it the first time you say, hey, I'd like to have all the muscles in my legs fire as fast as I can. You have to practice it, and this is a way to get it with these kids in a safe, efficient way. So let's take a look at the workout itself.
They were supposed to do, I think it was 3 times 60 for them. I think this is their last one. Huh?
I'm not doing this at a track.
It's a new event.
First step. Keep going. Swing freely from your shoulders. No robot.
All right, first group, fly in. Don't be stupid. Fly in. Set, go. Fly in, and go. First group, set, go. Set, go. Woo!
Okay, let's talk about something else now.
Guys, you can grab water every time we go by if you want. I don't know.
I stopped reading up.
Hey, Oscar, hungry? Get on top of that.
Lexi, Dana, how are you guys holding up? Pretty good. Dana, don't I look great? Yeah. So exciting. I stopped here, and then now my leg hurts. Oh no. Because like, Danny and Coach were talking to stuff like right there. Oh, they messed up your finish.
All right. Alex came. All right.
Why is everybody hopping at everything, bro? Brady, what are you doing?
First group, set, go. Set, go. And go. Oh. Fly in and turn it over. Second group, set, go. Fly in, turn it over. Last group, fly in and go. Turn it over, go, go, go. On you. Let's get it, let's get it, let's get it, let's get it. Three, 1-6. 3-1-6. Hey, you got a 4-mile cooldown. Go. Hey. Get there, get there, get there, get there, get there. 3-2-6. That's a PR.